Hello and welcome to the Route 1 show, the podcast bringing you all the latest football action from West Yorkshire and beyond. I'm Stephen Brown, and with me for this edition of the show is Tim, the Fat Sheet Feather. You're right, Tim.
Hello, Steve. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. Now, we're not going to have Life of Riley like we normally do. We're going to have this. Now, people may remember our wrestling episode from a few weeks ago where we had various theme tunes of wrestlers on, and some sad news in wrestling because the Ultimate Warrior has passed away at the age of 54 on Tuesday, I believe, Tuesday or Wednesday. So that was sad. So in tribute, we've got a little bit of his theme music whilst we do this introduction. Slice of my childhood gone away there, Tim.
I'm sure.
A bit before your time, isn't it?
It slightly is before my
early
time.
20s.
Mine, if we're doing it in wrestling areas, mine was Cactus Jack, just after he changed from Mankind. Cactus Jack. That's a kind of...
I thought you were going to say like The Rock or something, Cactus Jack. That
no, because he had all them different phases, didn't he? And then finally went into Mick Foley. So,
yeah.
But no, I will say one thing about the Ultimate Warrior. I'm glad that he was inducted into the Wrestling Hall of Fame and saw his last WrestleMania, and then he died.
Moving on to football, Tim. Champions League stuff. We've got an English team in that semi-final, haven't we?
We have.
Now, I would like to just play this clip for you. You'll enjoy this, Tim.
Chelsea will lose this game 3-1, but they will get that away goal, and at Stamford Bridge they will win 2-0, and they will go through.
Oh!
Why didn't I put money on it?
Oh, there you go. Look at the proofs in the pudding. What about that, Tim? You were right. You were spot on. It's just
I didn't put any money on that.
Just weren't financially.
I got a text off my brother in about the 90th minute saying, how do you feel right now? I was just devastated.
Dear. We do have this other clip that you said as well, though.
If there's one thing I hate more than Chelsea, it's the French.
So there we go. That's... So we thought we better balance it out a bit.
It's true.
Oh dear, the views of Tim Feather there. Just not myself.
Paris Saint-Germain, they've gone around things the wrong way. You know, I don't like the league, the French league. I think it's what Paris Saint-Germain have done to that league. I mean, you had teams like Lyon and Marseille who did all the things right, and then Paris Saint-Germain just came out and just bought it. Monaco are doing the same. But I don't like Paris Saint-Germain, don't like French football, and I'm gutted I didn't put any money on it.
Elsewhere in Champions League news, incredible result. Atletico beat Barcelona. Interesting stuff. I've been looking into a little bit of this. Atletico, how they've done this. Diego Simeone, who's their manager, incredible stuff. I'm just reading some facts on this. Atletico's annual budget is 120 million euros. Might sound a lot, but compare that to Real Madrid's, who's 580 million euros. I mean, it's staggering, really. I mean, their most expensive player is was signed Philippe Luis 4 years ago for 12 million euros. So, I mean, it's a great football story, and I would love personally to see them win La Liga and the Champions League. You're not keen, are you, on Atletico? Would you prefer them to win over, your Barcelona, Real Madrid?
I'd like to see Real Madrid win it. Sorry, yes, I do like Real Madrid, and I'm a bit of a hypocrite on that one because of the money thing.
That's the clip I'm going to use for next week. I'm a hypocrite.
You can do. But Atletico, I watched the Madrid derby, and the way that they played, I wasn't too keen on it. And sorry, but it just reminded me a little bit of Leeds in the 70s, kind of.
Oh, what? How can it remind you of Leeds? You weren't born.
I watched Damned United.
I'm getting a little bit fed up of this Ultimate Warrior theme, so I'm going to play you a bit of Mick Foley's theme tune. Just mix it up a bit. He's not dead, by the way, in case people get worried. So you had an interesting story that you wanted to tell us about that you've spotted this week.
It is on the website now.
Which is?
Paul Connolly of Crawley Town slapping a fan. Now, it's not quite Eric Cantona kicking out at Wimbledon.
Right.
But it is something which is quite stupid, really. And if you watch the video, it's something over nothing, to be honest.
www.theroute1show.co.uk.
It is on there, yeah.
Have a look on there.
It could speak something for Bradford City as well, because they do play Crawley in a couple of weeks.
So
Parade.
Watch out for fans.
So the
slapping.
FA are looking in. Look out for happy slapping from the fans. Remember that, Fad?
We'll get Pete Chapman, our Bradford City correspondent, to keep an eye on that.
We will.
So we've got lots coming up on the show, including our usual updates for Leeds United, Huddersfield Town, Bradford City, Halifax Town, Guiseley and Bradford Park Avenue. Do keep it tuned to the Route 1 show. Well, they might have a new owner, but the same problems remain on the pitch for Leeds United. And joining us on the line now to discuss everything about the Whites is our Leeds United correspondent, Jennifer Berry. Hi, Jen.
Hi, guys. All right.
Hi, thanks for joining us. So another woeful performance against Watford, and we'll get to the off-the-field stuff in a moment. But, I mean, another pathetic performance, Jen.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people were sort of saying it's the worst they've known it, certainly under McDermott, but even beyond that, and
ever.
For it to come to this point, we've had some pretty dire results in the past couple of years, and it all seemed to sort of come to a head, and that was apparently really the worst one.
Worst team in your lifetime?
I'd probably say yeah. I mean, even in League One, we had decent players. We probably had a better all-round squad than we do now. Take out maybe 4 or 5 players, and the rest you don't get near the team in League One. So
no. Do you think McDermott will see out the rest of the season?
I think he will. I think he's in a position now where Chilino doesn't want to sack him. It's going to cost him money, and for whatever reason, whether it's money, Brian McDermott's not going to walk away. I think it's not just because of the money. I don't think it's that he wants to sort of see the job out, and he genuinely does have that love for the club. But whether it lasts that long,
we'll wait to see.
Could Chilino and whoever else is coming into, who he's going to appoint to help out, want to see how Brian McDermott does without all the problems that's been going on? Because surely Chilino, being a footballing man, he must see that an unsteady club is a difficult place to be.
Yeah, I mean, he did say in one of his interviews that he basically said that McDermott's had excuses before now, and now he has an owner. They pay the wages and so on. And he has basically said, look, you've no excuses now. You go and show what you can do. If you can't do it, then I know you can't do it anyway. So, I don't think he has any other excuses. But again, I think from the other point of view, the job was pretty much an impossible one. And I know the results aren't acceptable, but the situation as well, it was pretty much impossible for him. So I guess we'll see. I just hope he gets more than 5 games, to be honest.
Yeah, it don't totally look good for McDermott when Chilino sacked Diego Lopez this week, the 36th in his 22-year reign, and the sacking came after a 3-1 defeat to Roma, and they do sit 7 points above the relegation zone, so it's a bit like, they're not in the worst position in the world.
I don't believe in coincidences. I mean, the problem is like there's a couple of managers that he's had that he's come out and backed them, and then a week later he's sacked them. But he's literally seen as lowest ebb, and I think, to be honest, I think a lot rests on Saturday. I think if we lose on Saturday, I wouldn't be surprised if he did just say, enough's enough. I'm sorry, mate, but you're out, and maybe we stick Richard Naylor and Neil Redfern in there just for the last couple of games. But something's got to give at the minute, and whether it comes from, I think it should come from the players. In fairness, I don't think they're sort of pulling their weight, and they've let the manager down, they've let the club down. I think the types of performance we've seen are just, you can attribute a certain amount of it to the manager, but a lot of it's on them. And I think they've probably had a bit of an easy ride. It's quite easy to say, well, they've not been paid, but you take that out of the equation. I get paid a minuscule wage for the job that I do, but I still turn up and do it. It doesn't matter how you get treated. You've still got a duty. You've still got some professional pride, and you just have to say that's not been there. They might find that a bit harsh. I don't know. From our point of view, though, they've got to step up as well. Manager's got to step up for sure.
Yeah.
But the stuff off the field that's been dealt with now, we sort of knew it would be. It was never sort of a case where they weren't ever going to get paid again. They were going to have to retire and be a plumber or something. This was always going to be resolved. And if it's to the point where they've lost trust in the manager and they don't think he's capable, fair enough. And then Chilino will take the action there. But they've got to step up now. So Saturday.
I think some of them are plumbers. I really do. Jen, Massimo Chilino, it's been another wild week to say the least. He got approved, his appeal was successful on Saturday after the Wigan game, and then there's been a bit of a Chilino love fest, which I fully admit I've engaged in as well, if anyone's been following my Twitter feed. It was out on the lash on Wednesday in Leeds, which is amazing. It was, socialising with the fans. Have you warmed to him? I got the sense before that you were wary, but what do you make of how he's come across since his appeal was successful?
To be honest, I'm on the fence with him at the minute. When GFH came in, they did all the PR right, they paid the right people,
Yeah.
and they got the right publicity. And, you know, a lot of people will have to hold their hands up and say, you know what, we got it pretty damn wrong with them.
Yeah.
And, you know, I've held my hands up to that as well. You know, I thought they were going to do a decent enough job. I didn't think it was going to be a disaster on this sort of scale.
No.
I think, you know, I've got my reservations about him, you know, about the things he's done in the past, about the way he's treated, like Cagliari, you know, their fans, for instance.
Yeah.
The fact that he is a convicted fraudster, you know, that's whether you want to, you know, paint a nice picture about that, you know, about spent convictions and all that. He's a convicted fraudster.
But he did the Leeds salute outside Tiger.
Exactly, and that's what frustrates me, is that people are so willing to just buy into anything because he's got money and because he went out for a pint. It's like, well, you know, that's great, good for him. I must have been the only person in Leeds who didn't bump into him last night. But at the same time, you know, just because he's got some money, and you know, great if he goes and buys the stadium, if he goes and buys, or you know, builds us a new training ground, great. You know, we might be, you know, worth a lot more, and in terms of financial fair play regulations as well, we might sit more comfortably with that. However, you know, I've just got my reservations about him, just because, you know, we have to be wary. You know, if nothing else in the last 10 years has taught us, you know, just don't jump into that. And, you know, the Football League have come out today and said, yes, he's fine to take over, and he's approved as a director.
Yeah.
But, you know, it did say something like that basically they will be looking at the written judgment that comes out in June from the Italian, you know, when they decide, you know, whether he was dishonest in it. And I think the fact is that the Football League may struggle then to do something about it.
Yeah, I don't think they could out.
It'd
be hard to out him, wouldn't it? Then if he, you know, he'd have his feet under the desk by then.
Exactly. I mean, you'd have to say that the Football League have, you know, bugged up quite spectacularly, and they'll probably be trying to make up a rule now that would, you know, give them some sort of legal leverage to actually say, well, yes, you were dishonest, and they found you guilty now, and there's no arguing about it, and you know, you have to get out, basically. I think they'd be in a very difficult position. However, you know, at the same time, if he is found to be dishonest, then you've just got to wonder. And you know, by all means, I'm not against him. I just hope that he can do the right thing for the club. I hope we can go forward now. We can put everything to bed. We can pay off the debts and start building again, and hopefully not get relegated.
Has it set out any plans at Leeds United? I mean, like, the only worry you'd probably have from Leeds' point of view is that you have an owner who does what the Charlton one has done, where he's trying to make Charlton a feeder club for lots of other ones. Has he ever mentioned anything like the worst case scenario would be a feeder club for Cagliari?
He's talked it up. No, he's if anything, I mean, he referred to Cagliari as like a Fiat and Leeds as a Ferrari.
I don't think he'd be in a position to do that with Leeds, to be honest. In terms of, I mean, he did actually say in one of his interviews, basically, that he wouldn't. He's trying to sell them, obviously, at the minute, but he pretty much said that, you know, I won't be buying players from over there because they don't like the food, you know, they don't like the travel, and yeah, it's just a completely different
Red Hot Buffet. He's moved to Leeds, or is Chileno? Oh, he's moving to Leeds, isn't he?
Apparently he's bought a house. It'd be quite interesting to, a flat or whatever, if that's in the same apartment block as Mr. Haig and Mr. Bates. That would be quite
that'll be interesting.
Quite a fun evening there.
So, looking to head to the Blackpool game, amazing where we were when we played Blackpool last time. We were sitting on the edge of the playoffs, and it looked as if the season might go somewhere, and it didn't turn out, but maybe it could be another turning point playing Blackpool at the weekend this time.
You know,
wishful thinking.
To be honest, I mean, I went to the Wigan game, and you know, we did actually improve. We were sort of in the game without actually creating anything, and it seemed that we were starting to redress the balance. We weren't quite there, but and then we obviously all did that at Watford, and I genuinely I don't know what's going to happen this weekend. I think the thing is it's on a knife edge, because if we lose, we could be in serious trouble. Yeah. And again, that's where Chileno then has to make another big decision, and then it's more upheaval, and it's just that roller coaster keeps on going.
Absolutely. Jen, thanks very much for joining us.
No worries. Cheers, guys.
Thank you. Bye-bye. There we go. Jennifer Berry, our Leeds United correspondent. Amazing, Tim, to think that if Leeds do have a bad result this weekend, there were only 8 points outside the relegation zone. That could be cut down to 5.
Yeah,
depending on other results.
There's still a few more games left as well, isn't there?
Yeah.
So it could be a bit of a worry. But you know, two teams who you would consider should have been up there. Well, they were both up there. Yeah, at least 1 point in the season, and both have dropped like a stone. I would just like to mention there are other restaurants in Leeds that you can go to.
I just love the idea of Chileno going out in Leeds, or Tiger, Oceano.
Where were you?
I know, I should have gone, shouldn't I? Well, it was amazing because it was, his location was coming up on Twitter everywhere, so you were getting Leeds fans who were taking pictures with him. One point he was in the Peacock, then he's down in Leeds City Centre. He's engaging with fans that we've not seen before. But Jen's right, though, we've got to exercise a bit of caution because we've been promised lots before and it's always blown up in his faces.
Yeah, I can't get this.
I love him.
It's just... I've just got this image in my head of him waking up this morning on top of the horse in the Trinity Centre going, what happened last night?
Oh, please, someone tweet a picture of that if that's what you discovered this morning.
Follow us on Twitter at The Route One Show. Visit our Tumblr, tumblr.com/The Route One Show, or email us, therouteoneshow@gmail.com.
Now, Huddersfield Town's miserable run of form continues and questions are starting to be asked of boss Mark Robins. On the phone now to discuss everything to do with the Terriers is the Huddersfield Examiner's Doug Thompson. Hi, Doug.
Hi, how are you doing?
Thanks for joining us, Doug. After the Middlesbrough defeat at the weekend, I was listening to local radio on Bolton's late winner against Town on Saturday. I was listening to the phone in on Radio Leeds, and a lot of people starting to question Robins and the style of football, and then with the Ipswich defeat as well, which Robins admitted it was probably the worst performance. How much pressure is he under? I mean, we've mentioned it before, but it seems after this weekend, the last few days, that the pressure's really increed on Robins now.
Yeah, I mean, obviously fair to say 2 home defeats in 4 days, never great.
No.
And the manner of the defeat against Ipswich, was quite worrying, really. It was Town have been sort of bad in patches of previous games, but they've never been sort of so bad for an entire game in quite a long time. So obviously a bit concerning. Certainly, pressure from sections of the supporters. I don't think there's any sort of real pressure from within the club at this stage.
No.
I think it's a sort of well-explained path that they're going down. They've certainly hit a sticky patch. And they just need that, badly need that win just to sort of get things back on an even keel and just lift everybody, really. It's one of those situations, where you get in that sort of rut, it can be quite hard to get out of.
Yeah, one of the things, I mean, we've mentioned Huddersfield's style of play before and praised it, really, the passing game and the patient style, but that seems to have come in for a little bit of stick recently, the fact that it's kind of non-threatening.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. I mean, they just need to be sort of quicker and crisper in the passing, really. It's obviously a good system when it works well, and a lot of the top teams use it, but that's why they're the top teams. They're that much better at it. To be fair to Robins, he's always said it's a sort of work in progress, and it's a sort of development thing. They've been very in and out this season, Huddersfield, up and down, week in, week out, but, this is the longest spell, where they've gone without winning, and that is quite worrying, They just a bit of a confidence thing at home, especially. They just seem to, get a little bit edgy. The crowd gets edgy, and it all sort of transmits, to each other, really.
Yeah.
I don't think it's anything that a good performance and a win, wouldn't certainly alleviate.
Yeah.
But obviously, the longer it goes on, the worse it gets. And the fact, adding that you're getting closer and closer to the bottom of the table, although still a fair way off given the amount of games that are left. It's just slightly concerning. You just don't want to be going into the last few games still within sight of the clubs below you, basically.
No. What do you put it down to, Doug? Because I've looked at other Huddersfield Town fans' comments, and a lot of them say lots of gleaming words about Naki Wells, but there's no other mention of any other players. A couple of weeks ago it was all about Clayton and Norwood, but I've not heard them mentioned in a while. Have they gone off the boil a little bit?
Yeah, a little bit. Tuesday night certainly, a collective bad night, really.
Yeah.
Nobody played particularly well. Naki Wells, to be fair, did put a real lot of effort in, and Smithies didn't do too badly in goal, really, to say that they conceded 2 goals. I think it's worth pointing out, obviously, that James Vaughan, isn't in the team, and he's a key man, clearly. He's the leading goal scorer. You could look back to the sort of start of Vaughan's loss of form and his absences as the sort of start of, where things started to get a bit sticky for Huddersfield. The form in the whole of 2014 has certainly not consistent. It's not been great. There have been certain games where they've played pretty well, really. but other games where they ditch a lot, I think that's got a lot to do with it. You need that outlet up front, obviously, to get the goals regularly, and the midfielders aren't really weighing in with the number of goals you need when you don't have a striker who's scoring regularly. So a lot of the responsibility is falling on Naki. He's responded quite well, and he's got 5 goals and hopefully more to come. But it's just difficult at the moment, and like I say, they just sort of need that win really, just to lift them out of the gloom.
Yeah, ideally Naki was the kind of player where he needs someone playing with him. He doesn't really work much on it. Well, he does work hard, but I mean, he struggles a lot if he's up against 2 big centre backs on his own.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say, and a lot of the teams, noticeably in the Championship, have got 2 big centre-backs now, particularly of late, we seem to have come up against some fairly giant teams, really.
Nick McCarthy's team does that, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think when you're losing here, everybody looks big, don't they?
Especially Naki.
Haven't really got that many sort of big, tall, physical players, really, and in a way, that's what they could do with. Jonathan Hogg, quite a sort of key man, really, but he's been out of form or not picked, and certainly he's been crucial, in the sort of negative or the dirtier side of the game, if you like, in breaking up the opposition, stopping them playing. And they've missed him, or they've missed a sort of, an on-form Jonathan Hogg. I think that's fair to say as well. So one or two things to put right, and certainly, I'm no doubt that they'll keep going with the passing system, but they just need to get that bit crisper, and the movement off the ball clearly needs to be better. And that's something that everybody's got to sort of get back to doing the basic things well there, really.
It's interesting because you mentioned it before, and Robbins talked about it again at the weekend, is that phrase, the DNA of the team, and this is how they're going to play, and that seems, the end, it's not up for discussion, really. Do you think that's going to work against him in the long run? Do you think there needs to, especially at Championship level, it's great having those high ideals, but do you need a bit more flexibility and to be a bit more realistic?
Yeah, I think you do. I think there's certainly times where you need to do things a little bit differently, and clearly when games aren't going well, sometimes you need to chop and change it, and you come up against certain sides who counter what you're doing. I mean, there is an argument that teams have sort of found out how to stop Town playing the game that they like to play, and that's why things have got harder over the sort of last third of the season, or the last third of the games that we've had. It's a really difficult one. I mean, personally, I like to see a bit of variety. I like to see a team that's got a plan B. And that sort of accusation has been thrown at Town, really, that there isn't much to fall back on, when the passing approach doesn't work. And good teams can do a lot of different things, and good players can play in sort of different roles and different positions. So I think that's something that he does want to do. I think he admits himself that there are times where you have to go route one, if you like, or be a bit more direct.
Hey,
in a nicer way.
The name of our show.
But exactly, I sort of split that one in there. But I'm pretty sure that he definitely wants to stick with the passing game, and I think that's not just Mark. That's the powers that be at the club that want to do it that way. I mean, the other difficult thing, obviously, to play that game well, you need pretty good players. And with financial fair play and the sort of financial model that Town are going forward with, pretty hard to get the real quality kind of players that you want to compete at the top end of the Championship, because of the clubs are spending more.
Absolutely. Derby County up next. Doug, sitting pretty in third, but a couple of dodgy results for them recently themselves. Is it a bit difficult to see Town really getting anything out of that?
You'd say on paper it looks very difficult. It's a real tough place to go, Derby, in my experience. Their home form is pretty good, and the crowd get behind them. It's that kind of stadium that holds the noise in. And they gave Town a really good going over last season, so hopefully that won't happen. Perversely, it's the kind of game you sort of think they might just sneak a result somehow. In the circumstances, they really, well, I don't like to say it, but they really can't be as bad as they were on Tuesday night. You'd hope for some kind of response. And you look back even to sort of games like Reading quite recently, where they put in a really sort of spirited, determined performance and showed a lot of resolve. If they can do that again and get back, Tuesday night was really the first match in a long time that I can remember where they didn't create a good number of chances. They've been guilty of not taking the chances, chances, but it turns out they only had one chance on target, which really isn't like Town, So if they can get back to, a bit more defensive resolve and just somehow sneak a goal, then you never know. But I can't say I'm totally optimistic.
Oh dear, never mind. Doug, hopefully better news next week. Thanks very much for joining us.
Fingers crossed, it's a pleasure.
Take care,
Cheers,
thank you.
bye.
Bye-bye. Yeah, you'd think, Tim, wouldn't you, that Derby is going to be a difficult ask, judging by current form for Town.
It really is, but what I find quite interesting in this game is it's the two key strikers for both sides are both two players who have made the step up this season from League One to the Championship. You've got Patrick Bamford at Derby and Naki Wells at Huddersfield. So, these two played each other at the Stadium MK.
Yeah.
Naki scored and Bamford scored. But, Bamford's taken to the Championship is slightly better, but you could probably say that because it's down to... He's on loan from Chelsea, so he's dropped down the level, if you like. But I think that one will be an interesting one to watch between them two teams. But I think I'm going to have to go for a Derby win, I'm afraid.
Yeah, I think same here. OK, team Bradford City. We're going to hear from Andrew Davies in a moment. Then we're going to be chatting to Pete Chapman. 3-2 defeat at home to Oldham. What was your take on that?
A very poor result. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to make it. Fortunately, as quite a lot of people have mentioned to me, I wasn't able to make the game last weekend. But it don't look good for Bradford at the moment.
No.
We thought we'd just got his heads above water last week. We were thinking, yes, now we're only 6 points above. But I think if you look at the goal difference of Bradford City, that's
a positive. Big positive.
I mean, it is only one, but. It's plus.
It's a plus, yeah.
It is a plus compared to everything else. But you know what? We've got Rotherham this week, and I find quite interesting. We've let in just 3 goals more than Rotherham, yet Rotherham have are sitting up in third.
Like goals scored, isn't it?
It is a goal scored, and I think that tells a lot of the story for Bradford this season. I think the main problem has been just them goals and them wins. That's where be all and end all. So that's why Parky's focus very much up front. But against Oldham, I think Oldham brought a lot of fans, and they really wanted that. They not just wanted it, really, they needed it. Because they were only 4 points above last weekend.
You're disappointed as a City fan, though, that the City didn't go out and needing it more.
Yeah. Because now they've got a tough run of games. However, against the top sides, we play better against for some reason. I don't know what it is. I think maybe Bradford raise a game for them ones, and I can't understand why.
Mystery game. Well, let's hear from Andrew Davies now. He's been chatting with Pete Chapman.
It's frustrating because obviously you feel like you're giving your all and stuff, and things just weren't quite coming off for us, especially after the 2 previous games we played, obviously Leyton Orient and Coventry, where we all obviously pulled together, stuck together and got 2 really good results. So it was disappointing, mate.
Of course now Rotherham, where certainly one of the worst performances of the season in the FA Cup, but on telly, we'll be wanting to give a good performance then.
Oh, absolutely, it's a massive game. Thoroughly looking forward to it. Obviously it's on Sky, so there's no better place to obviously put it right now. It's just one of them games where we've all just got to go out and perform like we did at Leyton Orient, really. That was kind of the benchmark of what we need to do, and fingers crossed we can do that tomorrow night.
It seemed over the last few weeks that you put in a performance and get the result and everything's looking good, you're going to be safe, and then it all goes 2 steps back almost.
It does, but it's one of them where you win some games, you lose some games. I think it's the manner we lost the game obviously on Saturday that was a disappointing thing, but I still take a lot of positives from the 2 previous games, and away from home our form's been obviously decent over the last 4 weeks, so if we can just continue that tomorrow night, and we've just got to all pull together and try and get that result.
And from your point of view as a defender, one of the positive things is in a lot of those away games you kept clean sheets. Yeah, of course we kept 2 clean sheets before the last game. It's one of them where me and Rosa have obviously, I think we've done very well together. I think we play well together, and it's just some games you concede goals, some games you don't, and I think over the course of the season, I can't remember how many clean sheets we've kept, but we've kept a lot of clean sheets when me and Rory have been playing, and the whole back 4, Johnny, and hopefully we can do that again tomorrow night. So it's one of the problems for the back 4 has been the number of injuries again. Mez has been out, you've been out, and Rory had a slight injury, so it's getting that consistency.
Of course it is, yeah. It's a long season, a lot of games. Obviously, with us playing the playoffs last year, obviously played a lot longer than 3-4 weeks longer than other teams, and it's one of them where it's a long season and you're playing Saturday, Tuesday, Saturdays, you're going to pick up knocks, you're going to pick up injuries, but I think in the main, I think the back four have actually done well. Even the games when we've drew, there hasn't been a lot of goals going in, so the overall look of the season, I don't think it's been too bad.
One thing, looking from the press box, I seem to notice there's a great camaraderie in the Bradford squad, which must stand in good stead at times like this.
Yeah, of course it does. There's games when we've had to pull together, everyone thought we were going to get beat against Leyton Orient. Everyone obviously had said there's no way they'll go there and get a result, and we've all pulled together, and it seems like when we need to really pull them performances together, we do. For what reason we don't do it at home at the minute, I can't really put my finger on it, but like you say, we play away tomorrow night and at home on Friday, and I'm just looking forward to just playing as many games as I possibly can and getting these wins. And
it'd be nice to beat Rotherham when they desperately need to win.
Yeah, of course it will, yeah. Obviously a result the other night that they wouldn't have wanted, getting beat off Sheffield United, and I don't know whether that's second place out the reach, but they're a very good team. They've shown that every time we've played them. I know people going about their manager and things like that, but you've got to give him a lot of credit. He's whatever club he's been at, he's done fantastically well, and he's doing exactly the same at Rotherham, and they're a very hard team, and we're going to have to be at our best to beat them.
OK, so we've just heard from Andrew Davies there, and joining us on the line now, heard him in that clip, it's Pete Chapman. Hi Pete.
Hi Stephen.
Thanks for joining us. So things at the moment very difficult, a bit precarious now, with only 6 points above that relegation zone. What's your thoughts on the current situation the Bantams find themselves in?
Yeah, it's one of those situations, I think, where nobody at the club is going to say they're safe, but if you look at it realistically, there's a lot of teams who've got to win all their games and City lose all theirs for City to go down. So they should be safe, but there's always that danger that it could all go wrong and it could be really bad luck. And you look at the games that City have got, and there's a couple of really tough ones coming up.
What kind of mood are the camp in at the minute then, with all things considering?
They all seem fairly upbeat, really. I think they know that it wasn't a good performance against Oldham last weekend, but at the same time they also know the last two away performances have been very good, and that is giving them hope going into Rotherham. There's also the feeling that they owe Rotherham one, and they've not performed properly against them for so long now that maybe this is their time in front of the cameras on Sky.
Yeah, I have looked at the recent record against Rotherham, and it does read for very grim actually, because they've lost 6 times in a row against Rotherham and they haven't scored in the past 5 games against them, which is, Rotherham and Steve Evans always seem to have Bradford's number. But for me, I hate to go back to last season all the time, but a lot of these players went to Villa Park and they did it. They went to Wigan and they did it. I don't understand how we can go to teams like Rotherham and not just keep it tight, because we know how Rotherham like to play. I mean, when we played them on Boxing Day, they didn't even get out of first gear, didn't Rotherham? They got the goal and they were just cruising, and Bradford looked like they were huffing and puffing around them, to be honest.
Yeah, I think I've got to agree with you. It's that you do know what you're going to get with Rotherham. You know they can be athletic if they need to be, but they're not going to expend energy if they don't need to. And on that day, I don't think Bradford forced them to do anything they didn't want to do, basically. So it's a strange one. I suppose in football you sometimes just get a team that have got the hoodoo on another team, and I think for Bradford it's very much Rotherham.
Do you think, though, big occasion in front of the Sky cameras, they may step it up?
I think that when Steve Parkin that came up for the press call today, and that he certainly thinks they will. Yeah, the cameras hold no fear for the Bradford players, and he's hoping that it's a good match, a good advertisement for League One football, because they don't get that many League One games onto Sky, and it needs to be. I mean, it's a good local derby. There's always the thing as well with Steve Evans there, which whatever you think of him, and we did ask Parkin today, and he was polite in what he said. But you've got to look at his record and just say, well, he obviously does something right.
Lovely. Pete, thanks very much for joining us.
Okay, you're welcome.
Take care. See you later. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Click subscribe on iTunes and get the Route 1 show every week for free.
Well, Halifax had a good win against Nuneaton, keeping their playoff hopes alive, and joining us to discuss this on the line now is Andrew Pinfield. Hi, Andrew.
Evening, Steve.
I mean, it's more than hopes now. I mean, it's expectation, isn't it, Andrew?
Well, we've got the momentum. It's just going from good news to great news, really, because all the results as well. It's this time of the season where you also look at what your rivals are doing, and the game's on Tuesday night. All the results went our way, and dare I say tonight, Grimsby losing with 5 minutes to go is another key result. So we've really got the momentum with 5 games to go, and puts us in good spirits for the next 2 away games.
Absolutely. The defensive record's superb, isn't it, over recent form?
Well, that's right, because we went down to Nuneaton on Saturday and we had our 2 regular centre-backs both missing. Simon Ainge is serving a 2-match ban and Mark Roberts is injured. So we played Danny Lowe, who's not played for 5 months, and Chris Smith made his full debut after signing from York and didn't look out of place and in fact scored the winning goal. So everything Neil Aspin does at the minute just turns to gold.
Yeah, it's an incredible run of form. What are you expecting from the team now? Do you think... have you got it set in your mind that Halifax are going to be in the playoffs now?
Well, we'd like to think so. I mean, it's just been a remarkable season, really. We keep alluding to the fact that we're still part-time and we're up against teams with massive budgets and big crowds, but this team just keeps surprising us week after week. And to go to Nuneaton away, 3 away wins on the bounce after beating Hyde and Welling. So we've now turned that round, and with our own form, we know it's very good, and the clean sheets, everything seems to be coming together just at the right time. So you would say, looking at the league table at the minute, that we're, I wouldn't say odds on for the playoffs, but certainly looking in a good position to cement the top 5.
Absolutely. Just looking at it off the pitch, Matt as Andrew, how would Halifax benefit financially just from being in the playoffs?
Well, it doesn't benefit us a great deal. Obviously, there's the added gate receipts, and a trip to Wembley would be a money spinner as well. But the thing is about the Football League, we were to get promotion, which will be absolutely out of this world, and you do get an extra, I think it's £800,000 just in getting promoted. So that's where the big money changes the club around, and then we would have to go full-time next season if the dream does come off. But you're looking at obviously added gate receipts and merchandise and one thing or another. If you did get to Wembley and over a 2-legged semi-final, who's to say Halifax Town couldn't pull that off?
Absolutely, and with that man Gregory up front, could Halifax handle the promotion with all the changes that would be put upon them? Are they a club ready to go to that next level?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, you'd like to think. To be honest, this season hasn't been a great. I wouldn't say the standard is that great.
Yeah.
So it might be a good opportunity for this season to try and get promotion, because obviously it's got a bit harder season after season.
Yeah.
But I think what we should do is go for it and then worry about the consequences after. We're maybe not geared up for full time, because we've had 3 promotions in 4 years.
Yeah.
With what's going on at the football club off the pitch and one thing and another, you'd like to think we might not be geared up, but let's worry about that if we do get promotion, because I know for certain all the fans would love a promotion, and then the directors and everything else can worry about that afterwards.
As a Town fan, I guess it'd be quite emotional, wouldn't it, after the club reforming and making the progress and all the promotions they've had in recent years to get back into league football?
Oh, that's right, yeah. I mean, it's just been an unbelievable couple of years, and what they've done this season has surprised everybody. It's just gone from one thing to another, and now supporters are believing that we could make the playoffs, and it's absolutely been a fantastic year to support the club. And who's to say if it did come off, and Lee Gregory, I mean, everyone's saying he's got to leave at the end of the season to Football League. Well, if Town got promoted, I know it might be dreaming a bit now, but can we keep on Lee Gregory and add players to supplement him and then cement a place in the Football League? But we're talking, aren't we, in the future, and let's just take it a game at a time. We've got 2 massive games coming up. Barnet away on Saturday is going to be a tough game. I think a point there would be a fantastic result. And then Tuesday night, Grimsby away. So these next 2 games are really going to be the key to what's going to happen over the next coming weeks.
I've just been looking at the previous results here, and I know we are looking quite far ahead. But the top 5 teams, you've only lost to Luton and Cambridge. I mean, you kind of got to look at yourselves there and think. You got a great win against Grimsby as well.
That's right, Tim. I mean, the Luton away game, we were 3-1 up. Lee Gregory at the crossbar, which had made it 4-1. And I can't see that with the comeback from 4-1 down, but at 3-1 down, they pinched it 4-3 in what was one of our better away performances. Grimsby we beat at the Shea 4-0. They're losing 1-0 tonight in stoppage time, so it's looking like if we did beat Grimsby next week, then it'd be a case of we'd be level on points with them and not just cementing the top 5, but we could go third. But we're looking into the future, and like you say, I don't think the team now are fearing anybody. The defence has sorted itself out. We're keeping clean sheet after clean sheet. Gregory always pop a goal. And we've got a bit, I wouldn't say strength in depth, but for instance, Adam Smith was injured on Saturday.
Yeah.
Marlon Jackson came into the team, so we have got some like-for-like replacements. And no doubt when Simon Ainge gets back, he's got to have a selection of it, because Danilo and Chris Smith both played ever so well on Saturday. So it's all good things at the shirt at the minute.
Absolutely. Andrew, thank you very much for joining us.
Cheers now.
See you next week. Take care. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Well, you know what amazes me, Tim, is, we were talking to Andrew, and, say if you go back to, say, Christmas, when we were talking to Andrew, and Halifax were, 10th, 9th, 8th, and you never thought, I didn't believe then that they could be where they are now.
No, I was impressed when they were 10th.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely same here.
Especially with everything that went on, because they did have a big, long injury list, didn't they?
Yeah, they did.
And they've all started to come back, and I can't help but, just looking at the league now, I can't help but think, where would Halifax have been if they got the away form that they've got now at the beginning of the season? Where they'd have been up there challenging.
Yeah, they would. Barnet, do you fully expect them to go there and take all 3 points?
Don't fully expect anything from anything anymore. No. I would like to see that, definitely. But Barnet can be a bit of an odd team to predict, really. They can either they can lose against the lower teams, but then win all the higher teams. So it's going to be a tough game for Halifax. Absolutely. But hopefully, fingers crossed, we've got it for them.
Come on, Town. Okay, Guiseley. Well, they beat Gainsborough 3-1 in their last game. Terrific result there. And that leaves them 7 points behind top of the table Telford, who they just recently beat 6-1. Now, on the phone, joining us is our Guiseley correspondent, it's Colin Robertson. Hello, Colin.
Hi, Steve, you right?
I'm good. Can Guiseley win the league, never mind playoffs?
Oh, calm down.
7 points, Colin. You've got a game in hand as well. Optimism.
Well, look, there's an awful long way to go between now and the end of the season. I know there's 5 games yet, but I'm more worried about what's coming over our shoulder, never mind what's ahead of us. I think we'll be doing well just to get into those playoff spots, to be honest.
Surely now, though, with the momentum, Colin, it's guaranteed.
Guaranteed.
We like to be sensational here on the Route 1 show.
I know, and all I can see is you jinxing things. You'd be the one saying Paul Gascoigne's definitely going to get on the end of that clock in 96.
Absolutely.
Waddle won't miss this one.
Surely Psycho will score.
David Batty will never miss.
Yeah, exactly. No, but in all seriousness then, Colin, it is going to be a tricky run to the playoffs. What's your sense of the mood in the camp? Is I guess there's a real belief they can do it, though.
Oh, yeah, I mean, confidence is going to be sky high because of the fact that we're just grinding out the victories.
Yeah.
On Tuesday night, that victory over Gainsborough was a different side to us that I hadn't seen in the games. For example, against Oxford and Stockport, we'd gone 3-1 up and we pulled back.
Yeah.
We were loose with the ball. We let the opposition have too much of the ball at the end of the game. After getting ourselves into a great position. We went 3-1 up, and I don't think Gainsborough saw the ball after that. It was a brilliant sort of passing and moving and just holding on to possession. Yeah. And we looked like we just stepped up another a notch in the season. So, it was a really... So
they're learning the lessons. They're learning the lessons then?
Arguably, yes. And, as a team, they're just consistently we're consistent in terms of the lineup. We've been able to have the same lineup a couple of games in a row now, and I think it's just paying dividends.
Everything's looking good, and Rosie and Matt Bauer, he signed up for next season. Looking back on it from the beginning of the season to when Matt Bauer took over, and then since then, how important do you think that managerial change was?
Well, I mean, you just have to look at the way the results were going at that time. There was a problem at the club. Something needed to change. Be it that a number of players that we had at that time just weren't gelling and weren't fitting into the system, or what. It was clear that something needed to change. And Mark came in, And, it didn't work out for him in the first few games at all. But the key thing has been reuniting Danny Boschel with Guiseley. I think at that point, when he came back, he offered something in midfield that we hadn't had. We were just able to hold on to the ball and just changed us from going far too direct, perhaps, as we had been doing, to starting to hold on to the ball a little bit more. And, he came back and we beat Ferriby, and then went on a great run. And to be fair, I think that's been a big part of it. And since then, we've just been adding good players at the right time. We've not been adding lots of different players. We've not been having a big turnover of players. It's just been the right players at the right time this season. And I think, Mark's got to take a lot of credit for that. Although, he'll tell you himself, we've won nothing, we've achieved nothing yet this season. So, all the plaudits and all the credit, I'm sure won't be welcome at this stage.
No, you want to finish the job. And we haven't even mentioned Saturday's 5-0 victory over Vauxhall Motors. I was at BCB covering Bradford Park Avenue, and I was looking for the Twitter updates, and it was 4-0 in the blink of an eye.
Yeah, I know. It was unbelievable. We just coasted in the first half. It was just too easy. And we got underway with Danny Ellis scoring a super finish, a drive from the edge of the area with his feet. It was just his second good, cool finish with his feet. He's shown himself to be a proper striker, never mind a centre half. And after that, we were just absolutely on fire. Lovely little bits of interplay. Having said that as well, I don't think Vauxhall Motors were up to an awful lot on Saturday, and I think they'll be very disappointed with the way they set about things.
Sure, no, absolutely. Hensford up next. Colin, how do you see that one going? Is the bandwagon going to roll on?
I think this is a crunch one, to be honest. I think this is really pivotal.
It is difficult, is it? I mean, Hensford are fourth.
They've got a very good record there. Fourth spot. If we win, we can go above them, but of course, that's a big if, and that would be brilliant. Yeah. But equally, they've got a great record at the moment, on a good run of form. A very tough side, beat us earlier on this year.
Yeah.
They had Elliot Durrell at the time, who was hanging in the goals, and they've had to change things since he went. But, they've still got some quality in that side that will be a big threat. And if we were to lose on Saturday, and Boston recover 3 points, we could, fall outside of the playoff zones, and everything could look completely different again on Saturday night. So it's a huge game for us. It'll be very, very tough.
Absolutely, absolutely. Colin, thank you very much.
Cheers, guys.
Bye-bye. Let's hope the good news continues next week.
Yeah, certainly do.
See you later. Bye-bye.
Cheers,
bye-bye.
guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
There we go. Colin Robertson. I said Hensford Town were 8th, didn't I? They're not. They're 3rd. 4th. We'll get it in a minute.
We'll
get it in a minute. Yeah, so it's an incredible run of form, isn't it, Tim? I mean, that was incredible on Saturday with the way they blew Vauxhall away. I know Vauxhall, they've got their own problems, everything that's going to happen at the end of the season to them, but, and the Telford result, I mean, you can't help but feel that the momentum's right with them, and do you think there's a possibility they can win that league outright?
I'm not sure I'll win it outright, but stranger things have happened.
I had it in capital letters on my questions to ask Colin. I had it in capital letters saying, can Guiseley win the league? Colin, it's a resounding no, according to him. So, he's right, isn't it? It's a pivotal game against Hensford. How do you see that one going?
Thing is, though, we're sitting on here on the Guiseley side of the fence, and we're worried for Guiseley. I think Hensford will be just as worried to play Guiseley. I mean, looking at some of the results that they've got over the past couple of weeks, I mean, especially the one against Telford, and winning North Ferriby again as well, doing a double over them, and they've been dominant in the league this year. But as we saw earlier on in the season, Hensford were dominant and winning absolutely everything. So it's going to be a toss-up, is that one?
Yeah, let's hope it keeps rolling, that bandwagon for Guiseley.
You're listening to The Route 1 Show, covering football in West Yorkshire and beyond.
Now, just when you thought Park Avenue season was fading away, they managed to pick up a win. And join us on the line now to discuss everything Park Avenue related is our Park Avenue correspondent. It's Chris Bell. Hello, Chris.
Hey, mate, you all right?
I'm good, thank you. So, I mean, it's difficult to put a gloss on this last quarter of the season for Avenue because it's not been great. There's been some thumpings, but a 2-0 win against Workington, very respectful. It was an away game. Pitch, I assume, was better for Avenue to play their style of football?
Yeah, I mean, it was flat. It was,
It had grass on it.
It wasn't particularly patchy. Yeah, exactly. It had grass on it. I mean, don't get me wrong, it was a little bit long grass, if anything, but yeah, the pitch helped, and, what helped Park Avenue as well, frankly, is that, sadly, Workington, for their situation, they were pretty poor, and, I was, heard from Ian McDonald, the Workington gaffer, and he was just bitterly disappointed by the lack of passion and enthusiasm shown by his players, which frankly is something that I've been saying and that Dees has been saying about his players for a couple of weeks previously. I like Workington, actually. It's a nice little place. It's got a good ground. There's a lot of history really in that club. Of course, there used to be a league side going back to the 50s and 60s. Their record attendance, 21,000 against Manchester United, and it was the Busby Babes side as well in 58, a month before the Munich air disaster.
One to keep then, Chris. Is there anyone else you definitely think Park Avenue should try and keep hold of for the start of next season?
There's a couple, for definite, I think, in the squad. You look at the likes of Paul Walker as one. You look at Alex Davidson, I think, with a good injury-free season under his belt, is somebody that could have a massive year next year for Park Avenue. I think in the case of Alex Davidson, though, he's going to be harder to keep hold of than Paul Walker, simply because he's 23, 24-year-old, I think. Yeah. Well, people or clubs at a slightly higher level may take that chance because he's that bit younger and he has got the pace and the skill, even if there's other aspects of his game which aren't entirely there at all times. And of course, Jordan Deasy, who's been very, very good recently.
We had Lee Bullock on last week, and he said that Colin Cooper is interested in younger players. That's his kind of philosophy. And Lee Bullock said he wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me at all. It's no secret he's been on trial with Hartlepool's reserves numerous times.
This is the longest trial ever. I've never known anything like it.
Well, this is the thing. I think the word trial was there to start with, and it's now been
Nuremberg trials were shorter than this. It's ridiculous.
I think it's a case now, isn't it, really, of, Colin Cooper has said publicly he's the kind of player that he wants to sign. So basically between, January, I think it was, there or thereabouts, when this situation started with Jordan, right up until the end of the season, basically, when he's been available, I think Hartlepool have been keen to get him back playing for them as well, just, to give Colin Cooper an in-depth look, shall we say, not just a week or two's trial, but a prolonged period of time for Colin Cooper to make his mind up, quite frankly, as to whether or not the club, whether or not Hartlepool want to go forward in chasing his signature. Of course, from Park Avenue's perspective, it'd mean there'd be a fee involved because of his age, being just 19, I think, 20 at most.
Yeah.
That even if his contract was up, I believe they'd require a fee out of it because of his age.
Yeah, maybe some add-on fees as well. Maybe something that
Exactly. I mean, you look at the connection as well that Park Avenue formed transfer-wise with Hartlepool last year, in the sense that obviously Michael Duckworth left and went up to Hartlepool, and he's doing very, very well for them. He's catching on a regular basis.
And such an influential club up there, because Hartlepool they have strong links with the other North East clubs like Middlesbrough and Sunderland and Newcastle, which that is a lot further down the line.
God, imagine being associated to that lot.
But then once Middlesbrough finish with them, they tend to come to Bradford, don't they?
And then we interview them.
No, I mean, this is the thing, though. Getting moved to a League Two club for a player of Jordan's age, especially, it would be a big thing for him in the long term, because this is the thing. This is a chance for him personally. It's the next step up, and you suddenly go from playing at a decent level of non-league football to playing at a very good level of football league, and at his age as well. The world's his oyster in that respect.
Yeah.
He can only go higher, really. In his career, and he can use Hartlepool almost as a stepping stone potentially if he fulfills that potential there.
So
obviously as well with John's point of view, the gaffer, it's he's going to lose a key player, but if they can command a fee for him, then from his budget side of things that he's got for next season, it can only be a good thing. And of course, it's his son. He wants to see what's best for him, of course, as any father would do in any situation.
Absolutely. So, Chris, getting back to matters on the pitch, Histon up next. Do you think Park Avenue should see this one through, although it's a home game?
It's a home game, so we're never quite sure, are we? Park Avenue have got an incredibly big say in who gets relegated. this season, because obviously they played Workington and beat them. They've got Histon on Saturday, who are down there scrapping for their lives. They've got Stalybridge, who are scrapping for their lives. And of course they've got Oxford on the final day, who are scrapping for their lives. They played the bottom 4 teams, or between last week and the end of the season. So they've got a massive say, really, in who could end up getting relegated. Histon when we went to their place back in early December, I think it would have been.
1-0, wasn't it, to them?
It was a 1-0 defeat for Park Avenue. Histon, they weren't bad. They were nothing special. You kind of just looked at them at the time and thought, yeah, they'll probably just keep themselves above water, and that would be, all right. That was what they showed on that particular day, even though they ground out of the win. Since then, obviously, things have slipped significantly. They've had issues off the pitch that I know of as well. Park Avenue should definitely be looking at this off the back of the Workington game and thinking, yep, we can go and get 3 points there and, continue to try and end the season on a high.
Yeah, let's try and finish the season, with a bit of optimism looking towards the pre-season.
Yeah, exactly, because it's going to be, I think this could be a very, very important summer, both on the pitch and off it for Bradford Park Avenue. I really do. With the way that the other sides local to them in our league, Harrogate and Guiseley in particular are going, and Harrogate have dropped away from their playoff situation that they could have been in. They've got the resources.
Do you find yourself casting an envious eye over towards the way of Guiseley, Chris, at how things have gone this season?
You're trying to get me shot, aren't you?
You and Colin are going to do a swap next year. That's what we're planning.
No, I mean,
sure, he'll be happy about that.
Having covered Guiseley for 3 years before covering Park Avenue this season, it is a great little club. I mean, I went down on Tuesday night with Bernard. We just went down just to take in a game of football, frankly. Yeah. And Guiseley were absolutely fantastic. It has to be said, they got a great 3-1 win. They played some really good football, got themselves ahead. Yeah. And then saw the game out, importantly, as well. I'm pretty sure Colin will pretty much repeat what I just said when you speak to him as well. Yeah. Guiseley have got a lot of potential. Yes, they've got a bigger budget than Park Avenue have. There's no doubts about that. The budget at Park Avenue has been talked about quite a lot in recent weeks anyway. Yes. But for guys, it's not. It's all well and good having a massive budget, but at the end of the day, you've still got to manage the players that you bring in. You've still got to bring in the right players to make it work as well.
Absolutely.
And that's what Guiseley have done. You look at what they've got as well. They've got their own stadium, and the off the pitch.
There we go. Chris Bell auditioning for to be our Guiseley correspondent next season, I think.
No, I mean, you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, I do.
We've talked to you before, haven't we, really, about what Guiseley have got and then about the issues that Park Avenue have got.
Absolutely.
With, the fan base just decreasing slightly this season and not having their own stadium, and they can't move, and, there's issues, there's things that ideally Park Avenue could do with being resolved. Yeah. If to progress really in the future and hopefully get into that playoff spots where it looks very likely that Guiseley will make it this season.
Absolutely. Chris, thank you very much for joining us.
No problem at all, mate. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.
There we go, our Guiseley. Sorry, Bradford Park Avenue correspondent there, Chris Bell. I mean, really, if we're being honest, all our eyes are cast towards Leeds, aren't they, and Guiseley, really?
They are at the moment, yeah. Park Avenue are they're kind of seeing a season through. There's no relegation fight. There's no, they can just relax and, to be honest, and just play for, play for the enjoyment of playing. And John Deasy was happy at the reaction from the players after 2 hefty defeats. Really, you'd probably accept. So maybe if they inflict a few hefty wins and defeats on someone else, they'll feel a bit better about themselves. They'll feel like they earned the summer break.
Yeah, exactly. We'll have more from Chris next week. OK, we're looking at all the weekend's Premiership fixtures now, and we're going to do things a little bit differently for this section. Now, we've got the 60-second challenge, Tim. Basically, you and I, we've got to pick out a fixture, and then we've got to explain in 60 seconds why that is the fixture of the weekend and why it's important. Now, I've gone for the Manchester City versus Liverpool game, and what have you gone for?
I've gone for Norwich City versus Fulham.
Quite intense music there. Right, give me a countdown.
Right, 5, 4, 3,
Thunderbird
2, 1, go!
Right, the reason why Liverpool versus Manchester City is the game of the weekend, well, there's only one reason. It's Liverpool's title challenge. It's good guys versus bad guys. Man City shake money. You know, they've basically bought all the trophies they've won so far. Liverpool are the heroes of the story. We want to see Liverpool win the title. If they can beat Manchester City, overturn the 2-point deficit, they can win the league. It's going to be difficult, but I still think they can do it. Similar to what we were talking about before, Atletico Madrid, lower budget, but getting great success. Liverpool can be the English version of that. I believe that. Suarez, Gerrard, wouldn't you like to see Gerrard lift the league trophy? He's won everything in the game apart from his time with England, but at club level he has won absolutely everything. All that's missing is that Premier League trophy. He can start if they beat Manchester City for that game on Sunday. I believe Liverpool can win the league. This is the most important game of the weekend for that reason, because we want to see Liverpool win the league title. Imagine.
That's it, man.
There we go.
I have gone for Fulham versus Norwich City.
Right, I'll count you down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
I think this is the biggest game of the Premier League this weekend, purely down to the fact that at the bottom of the league, this is not just a game which Fulham and Norwich will be really worried about. This is a game in which West Brom will be worried about, Swansea will be worried about, Palace will be worried about, and even Aston Villa will be worried about. These clubs are the clubs that they thought were safe from relegation. But if Fulham win, that puts them on 30 points, and Aston Villa are on 34. I think Hull, just above them, are a little bit too far in 36, but it makes them have something to worry about down there at the bottom. And Norwich, they sacked Chris Hughton this week. It's going to be massive to see how Norwich actually react to that one. And Norwich haven't won at Craven Cottage, so that's not speaking good news for Norwich City there. Also, teams at the bottom below Fulham. If Fulham win, Sunderland and Cardiff are really, really scrapping. They should be worried.
Oh,
is that it?
Time's up. Time's up. Right, tweeters, who won that? Tweeters, who do you think won that there? Which was the most important game? Was it Liverpool versus Manchester City, or was it
Fulham versus Norwich?
Fulham versus Norwich. Do tweet us and let us know. Elsewhere, Tim, then looking at other games in the Premiership this weekend, anything else standing out for you? Chelsea, difficult tie away against Swansea, do you think?
Yes, it is. And again, another game down at the bottom where everyone's going to be looking at Swansea thinking, you're not safe yet.
Yeah.
You are not safe.
Hold on.
I did say a couple of months ago that Swansea should be worried, and then they looked like they were absolutely fine.
Yeah.
But now they're playing Chelsea. I think they'll be on a high actually after this week. They'll feel quite unstoppable, to be honest.
Absolutely. Do you think Everton will get that fourth spot?
I want them to. I really want them to. Come on, Martinez.
Come on, Martinez.
I am definitely Team Martinez over Team Wenger. I think everything Martinez has done, and I think if he gets Everton into the Champions League, I just think surely Man United must be thinking something if Moyes hasn't got Man United in. Do you know what I mean?
Well, it's amazing because what he's done with that Everton team, he's gone in there, he's revolutionised how they play, and he's just taken them up a few gears, and then you're looking at Manchester United and Moyes, you're thinking, oh my God, this guy has dragged them down a little bit.
The thing Roberto Martinez has over, for me, someone like David Moyes, is his contacts in the game. Well, Martinez is very good friends with Pep Guardiola. Bayern, there could be a link. There could have been some business there. Even old friends back in Spain at Barcelona and that. I am going to put it now.
And who does Moyes know? He knows Bill Kenwright, the Everton chairman. His contacts are a bit limited.
Definitely.
What he needs Phil Neville and bloody the other bloke, Ryan Giggs, to help him out in the coaching staff. Get some of those contacts going.
I know.
Fergie, come on.
I think Martinez...
Do you know they need Joe Kinnear? He can knock on any manager's door and get a player.
Well, I definitely think Martinez is going to be the next Barcelona manager. Maybe not this season, but he's at least a future one.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's just about it on the Route 1 show this week. Now, we'll have another 60-second debate next week. Tweet us your subjects, what you'd like to see me and Tim debate, and we will do so. That's all we've got time for on this episode, though. I've been Stephen Brown. Thanks for listening, and thank you, Tim Feather.
Thank you.
Follow us on Twitter at The Route 1 Show. Visit our Tumblr, tumblr.com/The Route 1 Show, or email us, theroute1show@gmail.com.